As the world watches Rio, Colorado asks again, could we, should we try to host the Olympics? As the only host city ever to win, then back out, would the Olympics even consider coming to Denver? Every 2 years, the stories speculating on a Colorado Olympics are based in boosterism, the love we have for our city and state. Denver is a world-class city that would do a great job hosting the Olympics. All that misses the point. It's time to be honest about this. The Olympics are not going to come to Colorado, and that is probably a really, really good thing. I'm Kyle Clark. This is Next.
It's a feel-good story, you know, to host the Olympics, everybody's happy about that.
DU finance professor Venetia Dutra believes in Denver. She also believes in math.
I think we are probably better poised than some other cities that have been chosen in the past. But that still doesn't justify the end. It doesn't justify us accepting a bid or even attempting to bid. The costs are staggering.
It'd be something we'd have to evaluate.
Mayor Michael Hancock says Denver's just waiting on a signal from the U.S. Olympic Committee to put together a bid.
If Denver and Colorado ever pursues the Olympics and are awarded the Olympics, the #1 goal is to make sure the taxpayers do not have to fit the bill.
If the mayor is serious about that,
Beijing.
that pretty much means Denver will not host the games. Every Olympic game since 1960 has been over budget by an average 179%.
The IOC is not just asking for money, it's asking countries to change their laws.
Gordon Hilton looks like a professor, because he is, studies the Olympics at the University of Virginia, and he knows enough about Colorado's quirky laws to know that the International Olympic Committee is not about to take a chance on a city and state where the voters can reject tax hikes, change state law, even amend the Constitution.
I think the obvious reaction to that is, well, next.
Colorado can take pride in knowing that we would put on a spectacular Olympics.
And here they come.
And we can be relieved to know we'll never have to do that. So we get to enjoy the Olympics from afar. A theme of tonight's Olympic opening ceremony is tolerance, paying tribute to a team of athletes with no home country, no anthem, no flag. Our Cheryl Preheim is in Rio with a look at the first ever refugee Olympic team.
One small team, this first refugee team, hopes its experiences will speak to the world. These athletes won't win medals. They probably will never see their pictures on a cereal box. But the head of the Olympics says that of all the athletes here, these refugee athletes truly demonstrate the strength of the human spirit. Yusra Mardini is a kid, really, 18 years old, a swimmer who fled the war in Syria. Last summer, Yusra was on a boat of refugees from Turkey when the motor failed. She jumped in the water and helped drag the boat to land in Greece. Most on the boat could not swim and likely would have drowned. Certainly puts an Olympic freestyle race into perspective. James Niang Chinjik learned to race in borrowed shoes, but shoes will never matter much to him. In South Sudan, he was 13 when he learned he was fast. He ran to avoid becoming a child soldier. Yolande Busaka Mabika was just a small child when she was separated from her mom and dad during the fighting in the Congo. She learned judo at a center for displaced children. Mabika's dreams are not of medals, money, or fame. Perhaps my family will see me, know where I am, know I'm alive, she says. We could reunite. So as you watch tonight, consider that someone who might have known Yolande, maybe even her parents, might be watching somewhere in the world too. This team of 10 refugees represents more than 21 million refugees in the world today. Reporting in Rio, Cheryl Preheim.
In just a bit, we'll sit down with a man who led the charge to keep the Olympics out of Colorado in the 1970s. Our state's longest-serving governor does acknowledge one big regret in life. We certainly hope all goes well in Rio, but if there's a problem, a company from Colorado has provided an eye in the sky to help with safe emergency evacuations. Digital Globe out of Longmont has been taking satellite images of all the Olympics-related development in Rio, and that's helping security teams plan for evacuations. And it's giving all of us at home a unique view of Brazil's Big Dig. Here at home, summer feels like it's over, based on my completely uninformed opinion, but Danielle Grant has an informed one.
Kyle, don't be crazy. It is still summer around here. The calendar still says it, right? We have 48 more days to enjoy this nice summer season and enjoy whatever Mother Nature brings our way. Today, I know, it kind of felt a little bit like fall. Those cloudy skies sitting overhead and temperatures in the 70s for the first week of August. So it got me thinking, you know, when in the world have we seen this in the past? Well, it was only back in 2013, August 7th, when we hit about 73 degrees. The 70s will stick with us through tomorrow as well. Just a hair warmer, upper 70s for much of the I-25 corridor. A little bit toastier across southeastern Colorado. Still a couple of spots in the upper 80s, 90s, 70s up in the mountains. Now, tonight we have been watching the showers. Right now, they're mainly in the mountains and the foothills, but they will move down here. So if you have any Friday night plans, umbrella, you know the drill. As we go throughout tomorrow, we'll have another chance at seeing some storms. But then finally, there's that summer heat a lot of folks have been wanting. It'll arrive by next week.
Vets fighting post-traumatic stress need all the help they can get, all the help they were promised. But the VA needs more doctors. And even when it has the doctors, it still runs into trouble. Jeremy Hohola from our 9 Wants to Know team explains why veterans here were told to wait for their care.
Automatically put you into a DSM box.
They go to war,
Take you off to Candyland.
some return with serious mental wounds.
Try being me for a while.
Right.
Because it's just very hard to cope with life.
Up to 20 vets take their lives every day. A mental health crisis, an understatement. The new VA clinic in Golden has been a shining light for many vets.
2015 was also the year I got help from here, but it came almost a little too late.
An internal memo we obtained shows the clinic canceled mental health appointments for more than 60 people.
The Golden Clinic suddenly needed to replace a doctor real fast. Well, they found a doctor working within the VA system right in Colorado Springs. A simple transfer, right? Oh no, we can't have that in the VA. Mr. Red Tape comes in and says,
You need to be recertified and cleared.
and we all know the VA isn't exactly known for its efficiency.
I get the sense, your hands are tied here with this circumstance, though.
I wish I had more control, and I don't.
Even with a transfer within the VA system, there still has to be this rigmarole to move this guy.
And we definitely realize that that's a fault.
I see an abandoned, a broken treaty, if you will. I'm speaking as an Indian.
I couldn't have said it better.
You know, another broken treaty with us because they had a contract with us.
I can't trust the people that's supposed to take care of me to take care of me. There's something wrong with that system.
Aside from those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, the cost of war can be seen at your local VA hospital.
You'll be seeing a lot of Jeremy Hohola's investigative reporting here on Next. You know, when Jeremy began asking questions, the VA announced within hours that the problem would be solved, and that doctor will start on Monday. Now let's look at where we stand 1 year since the Gold King mine spill near Silverton. Hayes Griswold, the guy in charge of the EPA team that accidentally blew the mine, he's still working for the government. And the mine is still leaking nearly 700,000 gallons a day. The EPA wants to make it a Superfund site. Silverton is hosting Superfund Days, a festival to put the best face on an ugly problem. Golden Block Brewery is pouring a hazy yellow-orange IPA, same color as the Animas River that day. May I make a recommendation? This is the part of the show where we point you towards something that isn't ours, but is really worth your time. To truly understand the impact of the spill on the Navajo Nation downstream, 5280 has a powerful article by Robert Sanchez. You can find a link on the Next Facebook page. And to share a recommendation that we should share with Colorado, you can always get our attention with the hashtag #HeyNext. All right, time for the next question. Who in the world bolts down a mailbox right in the middle of a sidewalk? This one struck us as strange today. We ran into such a mailbox in Denver's Cap Hill neighborhood, 16th and Gilpin. It's stuck right in the concrete. You can see it takes up half the sidewalk. The Postal Service tells us, nothing to see here. This is how they do it all over town. I might just have some kind of mental block. I cannot recall walking down a single lane sidewalk and having to deke around a mailbox or take it in the gut. Am I alone on this? You can always get our attention with the hashtag #HeyNext if your daily walk detours you around a mailbox that's stuck in the middle of a narrow sidewalk. A quick word about words and how we intend to use them on Next. 40 years ago, 1976, Carl Akers began doing commentary on 9 News, the kind of commentary and analysis we'll share here on Next. I'm no Carl Akers, not even close. But we are in the house Akers built, in the state Akers loved, and he knew that talking honestly, openly about the challenges and opportunities ahead for Colorado was an essential thing to do. He knew that Coloradans are hardy enough to hear a viewpoint different from their own and come away stronger, not weaker. I love what he once wrote. I'm not trying to influence the way anybody thinks about anything, but I do like to talk about things that affect all of us and our state. That was Carl Akers' view, and it's our view, the first of many you'll hear on next. There's a new voice of the Broncos at Mile High. We'll give them a warm-up. America's third most popular collectible is bringing a ton of people to town.
It's something for everybody.
I would not have guessed this in a million years. And we're getting inspired by Denver's worst Yelp review.
Welcome back. You're watching the premiere of Next with Kyle Clark. I'm Connor McGahey, the new voice of the Broncos at Mile High, and this is what I look and sound like.
Very nice.
Hey, how are you?
Beautiful pipes. Congratulations on the new job.
Beautiful face.
Thank you for coming in. I understand that you've agreed to be here every night.
I have.
Curious.
Yes.
You are taking over for a very successful,
the best, let's be honest,
long-running legend.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for us here at Next?
Don't screw up.
Oh, man. What if you already have?
Well, if you already have, then you just keep on rolling. But you talk about Alan Roach, right?
Yeah.
And he is the best Kyle in the business, the best you'll ever see. And he is on his way to Minnesota, obviously, and there's none better than Mr. Alan Roach. So,
well, I know a lot of fans.
You never want to be the guy after the guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And
absolutely.
we've seen that many times over, but I'm the guy after the guy, I guess.
Everybody in town is asking you, are you going to keep the incomplete cheer?
It's been every single question that I've been asked. So nobody cares about anything else. All they care about is incomplete. And I think if we did away with it, I would be over. Like, they would be the end of me. I think that there's two camps out there. I said this earlier today. There's two camps. There's the anti-incomplete camp, but then there's the very much larger pro-incomplete camp. And I think because it was started by another legend, Alan Cass, back in the day, who did both the Buffs on Saturdays and the Broncos on Sundays, you can't do away with it. I think incomplete stays.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
Connor, congratulations.
Hey, thank you so much for
I look forward to listening to you on Sunday and be back here at 5:45 on Monday.
You got it. 5:45, I'll be here.
Here at Next, we are on a search constantly now for the most interesting people in Colorado. Met one this week, 12-year-old Weston Eimer. He runs Colorado Kids for Trump on Facebook. He stole the show at Vice Presidential nominee Mike Pence's visit to Denver when he announced to the crowd that he would be running for president in 2040.
Whenever I talk to a Hillary supporter, I go, okay, would you trust her with the nuclear codes? Would you trust her to have the nuclear key in the palm of her hand so that she could just say, okay, here we go, push a button?
Can I say you are much better at staying on message than Mr. Trump is?
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't care where you stand politically. Weston is quick, articulate. He is very passionate about America. Our conversation with him is posted on the Next Facebook page, including the part where he dresses me down over liberal media bias. It's good stuff. Let us know who we should talk to next. Steve Stager's reporting will be featured here most nights. For this premiere, we desperately wanted to assign him to cover a cat fashion show. Couldn't find one, so we sent Steve to a button collectors convention in Denver and told him that he can keep his job if he can make buttons interesting in the next 60 seconds.
When you tell somebody you collect buttons, they go, you do what? You collect what? Why would anybody collect these?
That was my reaction. Then I found out there's a national button convention every year, and it's here.
And I made a necklace.
There are over 500,000 buttons in here.
It's arranged by the National Button Society. Yep, there's a National Button Society.
To promote the interest in buttons, to promote the preservation of historic buttons, and the study of buttons, and the enjoyment of buttons.
And they know a lot more than I do about clothes fasteners, like
buttons were probably one of the first items to be recycled.
That, and button collecting is actually pretty popular, not too far behind stamp and coin collecting.
We warn people that you get infected.
Speaking of which, have you ever heard of Kumpoonophobia? Try pronouncing that one on your own. It's the fear of buttons, and it's common. So common, bet you didn't know Steve Jobs suffered from it. Now you know a little bit more about those little things that prevent you from showing too much skin.
All right, we'll bring Steve Steger back on Monday. 700 people from across America are coming to that convention, which runs through tomorrow. The man who killed the Olympics in Denver,
no regrets,
is still bothered by one thing after a life spent leading in Colorado.
I feel very guilty about.
Next. Joined by Colorado's longest-serving governor, Dick Lamb, who fought to keep the Olympics out of Colorado. It would have been the 76 games, so 40 years later, any regrets?
No regrets. I think that the voters did the right thing.
What do you make of our analysis that Colorado is not likely to get the Olympics, that as long as voters have a say on taxes and as long as the Olympics want taxes, the IOC is not going to risk coming here?
Absolutely right. I think that the my reaction was only to the 1976 Olympics and 1972. I hate to think that I have forever killed the possibility of a Winter Olympics in Colorado because I support generally the concept of Olympics. But you're right. There's no way they're going to come back here when we have the ability to get citizen initiatives on the ballot. And you've got the Tabor Amendment. You've got fiscal problems running every which way. They're not going to seriously consider Colorado. And I'm a little bit sad about that.
In your long career, you have brought attention to a lot of under-the-radar issues, and you've been willing to say unpopular things to get people talking. That's one of the things we're going to try to do around here on Next. What is the issue that Colorado is ignoring at its own peril these days?
Probably our public pension system. I think that the state of Colorado, under its PERA, is incredibly indebted, $26 billion, as I recall, in unfunded liabilities. So I think that there's a whole series of hidden liabilities that we're leaving our children that I feel very guilty about.
You feel a personal liability?
Yeah, I feel, it's been... I got out of college in 1957. The world was my oyster. The economy was growing and was all of these other things. But what we're leaving our children is a diminished opportunities. My wife and I bought our first house for $11,900. My first house payments were $49 a month, PITI. And I just look at these, I think my generation has not been particularly good trustees of America.
Would love to have you back to discuss these issues.
I'd love it.
Thank you, Governor Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
Denver's dubious distinction, home to America's largest joint. It's hanging downtown. And a thought about feedback, inspired by our city's worst Yelp review. So, about that giant joint hanging on the Courtyard Marriott downtown. It's a new CDOT public service campaign unveiled this week. Hits lead to hits. They want the car-shaped joint to get people to think about the fact that driving high is a crime. It got us thinking about another important thing. How much would it cost to buy a joint the size of a car? So, taking the EPA's average weight of an American vehicle, 4,079 pounds, a rough estimate of the cost of marijuana in Denver, $160 per half ounce, we can tell you with some authority that a joint the size and weight of a car would run you $19.5 million. Hashtag journalism. A final word about feedback. We love it, good and bad. We can take it. Be honest, like the person who wrote a recent Yelp review for a bar on South Broadway. Bar, people. That was the review in its entirety. 1 star out of 5. So you know what the owners of the High Dive Bar did? They put it on t-shirts. Bar, people. That looks like our kind of place, Take your work seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously. Our first feedback, Isabel says, love it, already a fan, even though the intro music is creepy. And Jack says, too conservative a jacket choice. You just wait, Jack. See you next time.